Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, fellas, what's up? Another Millie Maker. I mean, this is crazy. They're just throwing out Millie Makers left and right on DraftKings. I didn't even know it was a Millie Maker until, I don't know, a couple hours ago. Like, even when I, clicked on the Millie Maker on Wednesday, before I did the video in the morning to take out the salaries to then put into this sheet that you see here, so it's easier to pull in, all this information right here. Even when I did that and make projections, even when I did that, for some reason, didn't even realize it was a Millie Maker to first place tonight. So, yeah, I'll have a good amount of action in tonight. Currently have, in terms of props, 500 in play. In terms of DFS, 400. But I'm debating on playing the luxury box again, which we got. Literally should have won last week, but the last 2-minute decision on the toilet ruining us. How y'all doing? A-Rod is a lock tonight. Yeah, we see a lot of people in here. What's going on? What's going on, John? What's going on, Chris? Barkley and the captain. Chris trying to play the ultimate flex. There's a couple of really interesting captains. This is a different slate than usual. I think I sliced my entire hand. My hand looks like it's got a massive cut. I mean, it's just like a palm, like a part of my hand. What are those seams in your hand called? Wrinkles? What the fuck is that? But what's up? Thanks for those prize picks. Yeah, everybody crushing the prize picks. Literally, right now, as of my last thing, we're up $39,000 this month. Anybody who signed up with my code profiting this month, PrizePicks is getting taken to the cleaners because of that Mahomes prop, and just Monday Night Football was fantastic as well, of course, getting there late on that Ruggs nice 37-yard reception. Sal Pal, great to be back. Fellas, it's football. Yes, it is. Croft was asked. I should have listened, but it's okay. I'm not going cheap tight end this week. Yeah, the cheap tight end this week is James O'Shaughnessy, but you don't got to go cheap tight end when there's so many strong mid-range options. Tyler Higbee looks fantastic. He'll be chalky, but guys who won't be that chalky, Jared Cook in a good game environment. Kyle Pitts will have some ownership, but let people down, so not as much. Yeah, it looks good. Final Thoughts is dropping tomorrow. It's already recorded. McLaurin birthday today. Wait, today's the McLaurin birthday narrative? Let me see. I literally might have to change my entire DFS. I mean, we had I don't think that's going to matter as much. Let's see. Terry McLaurin birthday is yesterday, so close. No birthday today for Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's birthday was yesterday, so you almost had me. But we had the birthday and revenge narrative, which is always undefeated for Darren Waller the other night. Always undefeated. Diami Brown, the captain, viable tonight. I have some Diami Brown captain. Not a lot, though. I have 5% Diami Brown captain. This reminds me of, if that works out for you, this would remind me of Diami Brown, Traquan Smith's rookie year, where he had the 2-touchdown game on Monday Night Football for the Saints. I forgot who they were playing in that game. Might have been the Ravens. Can't remember. Yeah, actually, it might have been Falcons. Divisional matchup. I can't remember. But yeah, it's not that extreme. You already get the value out of Diami Brown at 1,400. There's some value in Caden Smith in this slate. I don't have to run to the markets to put Diami Brown in the captain spot. Because what do you want in the captain spot? You need 20 points in the captain spot to win, right? Maybe 16 get you there, 15 get you there if it's a cheaper player. But Diami Brown at 1,400, he's already cheap. What are you trying to do? You're trying to really get in all of Daniel Jones, Taylor Heineke, Gibson, McLaurin? Is that really what you're trying to do? Is getting all those guys really giving you a secure floor? I don't know. With these quarterbacks, I don't think so. I do think these quarterbacks are in play in the captain spot, though, because it's a lower total game. So if one of these quarterbacks, both who have mobile upside, both whose props are around 20-plus rushing yards, which is pretty solid, both these quarterbacks are definitely in play in the captain spot. This is the first time this year I'm getting quarterbacks in the captain spot. Now, this year has not been that long out of the Showdown slates that we have played, but it's the first time I'm getting any ownership to quarterbacks in the captain spot, and I'm getting a decent amount of it because it's a lower total game. And literally, if one of these quarterbacks goes for 20, which neither of them are projected for 20, but I do have both quarterbacks projected for around 17 to 17.5 points, and that's pushing towards the highest on the slate. If they go for that, one of these guys, there's a good chance in a low-scoring game that they are needed in the captain spot. Andrew says, I love Showdowns with Sal. Hey, what's up, Sal? My team better beat these Giants, says Mike. Hey, Mike's got a game tonight with his team. We love to see that. What up, Sal? Godspeed, bro. Let's get the dollar whiskeys. Let's do it. Sal, been in the first million until the last minute in both Super Showdowns. Can you get me that last minute? Can I get you that last minute? Yeah. That last minute is going to be brutal. Literally, if you're playing in Showdowns, if it's a large field, but even if it's 150 people, like the luxury box, nothing matters until the last drive of the game. Literally nothing. Unless you're, completely buried because you don't have the proper captain that's gone off and you've got a guy who's stinking it up. But nothing matters. Even if somebody's stinking it up, if your captain pops off for a 50-yard touchdown on the last drive, or your kicker kicks a 50-yard field goal, you can pop into the cashing at least. So obviously everything before that matters to an extent to get you to that point, but none of your placings are actually legitimate until the last 3 plays of the game, which is why Showdown's ridiculous, right? But it gives you that sweat. Do you like Kyle Rudolph tonight? He looks fine, but based on where the value pockets lie, I'm getting way more Diami Brown. I have Kyle Rudolph in 18% of lineups as of right now, but I'm getting way more Diami Brown. I think Caden Smith's in play. I have 12% Caden Smith. That should be above the field on Caden Smith. My Caden Smith projected ownership is 6%. My Diami Brown is 28%. I'm well above the field on both of those. I am double right now. Caden Smith, and I currently have 58% Dyami Brown. I'm not going 100% Dyami Brown. It just doesn't make too much sense to. You don't have a great quarterback. This is a solid second. This is a solid overall defense from the Giants. It's not elite, but it's a solid overall defense from the Giants. Dyami Brown is a rookie, right? I mean, his receiving prop is 27.5, bet up to like 30.5 in some spots. So I'm not going to jump up and down saying that Dyami Brown is needed in your lineups tonight, but I have him in 58% of my lineups, right? He's not my highest owned player, but he's pretty damn close. Actually, is he my highest owned player? So, no, Gibson's my highest owned player tonight. Heineke would be my second highest owned player as of right now. McLaurin is basically like a tie, and Daniel Jones is pretty close. So he's like a top 4, top 5 owned player for me tonight. Brown is a great play. He's $1,400. But let's not kid ourselves. I mean, you saw what he did last week when he ran 24, 25 routes. Let's not kid ourselves and think that this guy just can't catch 2 balls for 20 yards and not really be worth much, right? Hey, Sal, does your optimizer allow you to edit projections / set ownerships? Set ownerships in terms of exposures. Yeah, you can set max exposures in there. And somebody just asked in the Discord, he's going to set up for min exposures as well. Edit projections. Yeah, you just double click on the projection, like on the player group page. Randomness percentage that's viable tonight, it's really up to the user. Like, I get this question a lot. What randomness are you using? It's not going to help you if I tell you what randomness, because my groups are completely different, so we're never going to have the same lineups. I literally have built out right now, I have 3 different sets of lineups built out. One with 70% randomness, one with 35%, and one with like 58%. I'm taking lineups from all 3 of those. I'm going to sort by my highest projected, and I'm going to take the top 50 from all of those, basically. And I might X them out manually, but that's how I'm doing it. 5+ receptions for which wide receiver tonight? I don't have a bet on any of that, my guy. What up, Sal? Let's get these dollar whiskeys. Is Barkley in play? I'm not getting much Barkley. Overall, right now, I have 31% Barkley, which I think might come in around the field. Saquon, I have projected for 38%. So I'm below the field on Barkley. I'm not really there too much. How much salary do you leave in the Showdown games? I'm leaving at least $700 in all of my Showdown lineups as of right now. And that's in 150s. Like, obviously, in single entry and stuff, you don't have to do that. That would be in my 150 max lineups. But that is what I'm running out. Let me see what these lineups look like if I don't leave any salary, which I don't want to do. So I'm leaving at least $700 in all of my 150s. But I want to see what happens. And my optimizer can build up to 250 lineups. I want to see what happens if we could leave a little bit more. Definitely hit that like button. Sub if you're new. Yeah. Sub if you're new. I can continue to forget to ask people that. This week I'm doing a little bit more too. We got 650 people already in here. Hopefully you're having a lovely time. So let's pull in some things here. So this is in no ranking order. But where I'm kind of going with this slate is, yeah, I kind of want to go with either a very secure captain with one of these quarterbacks or a cheaper wide receiver. Dyami Brown seems like a stretch, but Sterling Shepard is relatively cheap. You have Darius Slayton, who has upside on the slate at relatively cheap price points, right? So that's kind of where I want to go with captain, because I want to try, and this is definitely a strong slate to be playing 2 quarterbacks on because of the low total, because of these guys projecting out so nicely, because of how spread out all these offenses really are. Like, Sterling Shepard played really well last week. I expect him to have a decent game in this week. His over-under on like overall fantasy points is like 13 right now. I have him for closer to 14. But for the most part, not a lot of guys are projecting out for that much. Like, when you look at the wide receiver 3 options on these teams, Slayton's there, had a couple of nice targets last week, but then it's Adam Humphries, not a high ceiling. It's Dyami Brown, maybe a somewhat high ceiling, but really not much stability to that. When you look at the tight ends, there's not much there from the Giants side. Logan Thomas struggled in week 1 with Taylor Heineke. I mean, you're not having the Logan Thomas experience like you thought you would. I mean, he wasn't even really being targeted that much by Heineke, who was getting through his progressions a decent amount and just not looking his way. I love Galladay for captain. He has the best matchup tonight. I think Galladay goes off. Your thoughts, Sal? Yeah, I like the quarterbacks and the wide receivers for captain spots tonight. So Galladay I have some exposure to in the captain spot. It's not a lot, though. My lineups are, I'm running something else to see, but basically I'm going to get sprinkle amounts of Galladay in the captain spot right now. Let's see. I have like 5% captain Galladay. I have 30% overall lineups with Galladay. I'm going to be probably below the field. I have him at 38%. So Galladay's the one guy I'm lighter on. I'm over the field on Slayton. I'm over the field on Sterling Shepard, on Dyami Brown. Galladay's the one guy that I'm lighter on. And I think it makes sense. This is a shaky offensive line against a good defensive line. If I'm going to play Galladay, just give me Darius Slayton. Like, Slayton and Galladay succeed in the same ways. Targets that are 15 yards downfield, right? And somewhat red zone usage for Slayton and Galladay. So if I'm going to play a guy that I think has success downfield when Daniel Jones gets time to throw, I'm going to play Slayton, who's faster than Galladay, who is arguably a very similar but younger player than Galladay, right? Galladay has, I would say, more contested catch experience in the NFL just because he's been in the league longer. But that being said, yeah, I think you're overpaying for Kenny Galladay on this slate tonight when he's probably I would say, just on paper, the 3rd worst passing game option for them in the receiving game, yet he's the most expensive on tonight's slate. That seems like a hot take to a lot of people. Sterling Shepard, I've been saying, is the wide receiver 1 on this team for 2 months. We saw that week 1. We'll see what happens as the season goes on. It's just how this team is built. If you tell me that, how can I start a team? I want Sterling Shepard. He's much more versatile. He gets better separation. And then after that, Darry Slayton versus Kenny Galladay. I mean, Kenny Galladay is just the 27-year-old version of Darry Slayton, and Slayton's faster, right? It's not like Galladay's running elite routes. It's not like he's getting separation. He's basically a worse Mike Evans, Kenny Galladay. He's a taller, worse Mike Evans, right? That's basically it. Our stats from week 1 kind of screwed up. We didn't possess the ball a lot. I think we only ran like 45 plays. Yeah, slow-paced game. How many captains should I have for a 20 max exposure large field? Depends on your risk tolerance. If you just say, hey, I want to have the best shot of actually winning this thing, I'm just going to run with 1 captain. So if that hits, I'll go off. I think limiting your exposures. I wouldn't play more than 3. 1 to 3 makes sense. Gibson is the captain. I don't have any Gibson captain right now. Obviously, Gibson as the captain is probably going to be the highest owned captain. It makes a lot of sense. I'd rather go to the quarterbacks for more stability there. I like them a little bit more, or the upside of the receivers. What team is the favorite? What's the over-under in this one? The over-under in this one. So the favorite is going to be, depending on where you look, -4 for Washington, depending on where you look. Open at like -3, -3.5. Seems kind of short, but I don't have a bet on that. And the total in this one is going to be very low. I mean, it's like a 41-point total. Let's go. What's going on? That always has that always has a bummed hammy. Yeah, exactly. Kenny Galladay's always banged up. Yeah. Kenny Galladay is one of the more definitely overrated receivers in the NFL. And obviously that's going to change now that he has a worse quarterback, probably the worst offense in the NFL that he's playing for right now. 750 people in here. How y'all doing? Hey, Sal, what do you think about Gibson as the captain and the rest of the wide receivers? I like wide receivers and quarterbacks in the captain more tonight. There's nothing wrong with Gibson captain. I just think he's going to be the highest owned in the captain spot, so I'll just shy away from it. Like, does Gibson have 2 touchdown upside? Which basically, Gibson has the highest 2 touchdown upside, not counting passing touchdowns for quarterbacks. He has the highest 2 touchdown upside on the slate, like higher than Saquon Barkley because of what his snap share will be and his use in the receiving game. So, of course, Gibson in the captain spot is viable. Like, I made one set of lineups with Gibson in the captain spot, and he's my highest owned captain. If I manually exclude Gibson, it gives me more of the quarterbacks. It gives me more Sterling Shepard and Darry Slayton and Terry McLaurin. But Gibson in the captain spot makes a lot of sense. He's probably the best captain option on paper tonight. I am purposely taking him out of my 20 maxes. I'm not playing right now. I don't plan to play 150s. I have 150s crunched. But I personally am taking him out of my 20 maxes just to see what that looks like in terms of getting me different. Like if I take Gibson out of my captains, that's going to give me more unique lineups without having to leave a lot more money on the table. Which quarterback do you prefer tonight? Probably Heineke, but I have very equal amounts of both. Like I have, I think let me see. I have 6% more Heineke than Jones, so it's not much of a difference. I have Heineke for... Right now, I have Heineke for less than a point more than Daniel Jones in terms of projections, and he comes in cheaper. So Heineke, I'll give this slight edge too. How y'all doing? How's the beginning, middle of your week, the end of your week now, right? Friday. How y'all doing? What up, Sal? I just got here. You talk about Booker at all? Devontae Booker, I currently have 9% of. I would expect. Let me see actually what I get in my most recent run. Devontae Booker 9% of. I would expect that to be like the high that I get on him, which Booker for me I projected for like 50. I'm going to be below the field on him. Hey Sal, Slayton as captain. I like Slayton as captain. Yeah, I think Slayton makes a nice captain. Who do you like on Prize Picks? Yeah, so nothing's changed for me on Prize Picks. I haven't added like anything new. There's no secrets because no other props have come out yet. I do think that the over 40.5, I think it's up to 41.5 on Saquon's rushing yards is nice since everybody is so down on him. So these are some of the props I took from this weekend. But for tonight, it's just kind of the same stuff. Like these props have probably moved. Humphrey over 2 receptions, Diami Brown over 27.5 receiving yards, and Sterling Shepard over 12.5 fantasy points. And then this is a second one. So I took these 2 props the other day. This is a $100 prop and a $200 prop. So I have $300 in play here. I have some money over in play on DraftKings in terms of other prop markets. So this is Heineke over 16 fantasy points, Brown over 7.5 fantasy points, and Sterling Shepard's 12.5 again. So that's what I have on Prize Picks. If you want a free bet up to $100, you can use it with the code SAL. Nothing else really stood out. Like we look at the board here. Like let's go and look at the board. Like Saquon's rushing yards over 41.5 looks good. I like that a lot better at 40.5. Obviously, it's only changed 1 yard. I want the total. I want Prize Picks. I'm going to see if they can do this. I want to get total yardage for running backs because I've seen some props out there, and I took it on another site, like a sports book, of the over-under on Antonio Gibson's total yards. Like it's sitting at 102 on some sites, 98 on a site that I saw. So 72.5 rushing yards. If we can get the total props, like the total overall yardage, passing and receiving out of him, that would be great. So 18.5 on his receiving yards looks pretty solid. So those are the other 2 that if you're thinking of taking some other ones, 18.5 on Gibson's receiving yards over Saquon 41.5, but I have not taken either of those bets right now. I have taken the over Gibson total yards, though, if you find it on another sports book. Playing both quarterbacks a must. Not a must, but I do think it looks pretty good tonight. Kicker or Brown? Diami Brown for me. Love the vibe in that room. Looks great. Thanks, thanks, Alex. Yeah, if you're brand new to the channel, let me know. Like literally the first time you're seeing me, or just these past week or so since NFL started. I'm curious on what our reach is for new people. Obviously, the viewership's high right now, but how many of you are new? Let me know in the comment section. And if you are just here, hit the subscribe button. What do you think of the new studio? I mean, compared to last year with the different mic, camera, lighting, studio, it's a complete 180 if you're just tuning back in. Are you playing Washington football team defense? I'm playing some, but I'm deciding on fading them. Look, here's the thing. Like, Washington football team defense is a solid play if you're playing in really small fields and you'd rather go them over Darry Slayton. Their defensive line is going to manhandle this offensive line of the Giants. It's not even close. The Giants apparently are restructuring their offensive line. They just got Billy Turner, who was actually really good for the Packers recently. So we'll see what happens there with him playing now apparently tonight. And I don't know if that was a trade or just a free agent signing. But this is not a good matchup. The problem is Washington football team is, one, massively owned, so they're chalky. Like, I have the Washington football team's defense projecting out for over 30% ownership, right? Over 30% ownership for a defense. Normally, defenses are like 16 to 18% owned. This is almost double the ownership right now, probably double the ownership than a normal defense. I get it. It's a low total game. I get it. There's a massive advantage here. But it's almost, and obviously the fumble problems, although he didn't throw a pick, the fumble problems for Daniel Jones. So this defense is insanely expensive and insanely highly owned. So where do I get the edge? I don't get the edge in salary. I don't get the edge in ownership. So why am I really trying to play heavy Washington defense? I'll definitely be below the field in the Washington football team defense. It just comes down to the fact that if I want to fully fade them or not. Right now, I'm less than half the field in terms of my ownership. They're not in my main single entry lineup that I'm playing across a lot of higher dollar entries tonight. That said, I'm not ignorant. I know that Daniel Jones fumbles. He can get sacked 5 times tonight. He can have 2 fumbles. He can throw a pick 6. I know all of this, right? I'm trying to leverage in the fact that that's what the field thinks is going to happen. So I'm trying to fade the field. What's up, Sal? Much love. Let's get this money. What's going on, Evan? Sal's the GOAT. Hit that like and subscribe. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? Ryan Schnabel. That looks like another YouTuber that I know. Apollo donates $2 to the chat. We got almost 800 people up in here. How you doing? Hey, Sal, what do you think of Gibson 3.5 receptions? I don't want it. I saw props on his 3 receptions. I don't even want that. If it was 2.5, I'd take the over. 3.5, definitely don't want. Chase Young to record a sack at plus money on DraftKings. Interesting. What are the odds Saquon has a big game tonight? I like his over 41.5 rushing yards. I don't think that after he played 47.5% of the snaps, that on a 4-day short notice after the first real heavy action on his knee, that they're just going to go 70% of the snaps. So can Saquon on 10 touches have 100 yards and a touchdown? Yes, he's Saquon Barkley. He can pop a 60-yard run. The odds that he has a big game, I would say, what is a big game? Like, the odds Saquon Barkley tonight scores 20-plus fantasy points, if we're factoring in the touchdowns, I would say probably somewhere around a third of the time he scores 20-plus fantasy points. Like, he's going to play probably 55% of the snaps, which leads to 15 touches, and he probably, if he does, he might see red zone usage, right? If they get in the red zone, he will. So, Saquon Barkley's ability to score that 40% of the time tonight, 33%. Underdog has Antonio Gibson 91.5 rushing and receiving, but you have to clump. Yeah, you have to clump it with something else. That's a great over. I mean, right now, those props, like, I'm well over 100 total yards for him tonight in my projections. If you're new to the show, welcome to the family. Win the dollar Rooskies, play nice. Yeah, exactly. Welcome in, everybody who's new. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Love to come up on the set. Thank you, Kellen. I appreciate you a ton. Good look, somebody said. Thanks. Alrighty. So you think this is a 2 QB slate? 2 QB slate, honestly, it makes sense because there's so much value. Like Diami Brown, Caden Smith, even Darry Slayton's cheaper. There's so much like actual position value with upside. Kyle Rudolph, if you want to go there. It does make sense. Who's your favorite captain tonight? Yeah, man, I don't really have a favorite captain. Like, the one that I'm getting the most of, if I leave Gibson in, I get the most Gibson. If I personally take Gibson out, I'm going to run this again with no Gibson in the captain. It's probably going to be like a McLaurin, a Slayton, and the quarterbacks type of captain slate for me. I'll have some Shepard as well. But yeah, I think Slayton's interesting because he's cheaper. Like, Slayton is basically just discount Kenny Galladay. If you want to play Kenny Galladay in the captain spot tonight, just go Darry Slayton. He's the faster version of Kenny Galladay. If you think Daniel Jones finds the time to target guys downfield tonight and doesn't just pepper Saquon, the tight ends, and Sterling Shepard like he did last week with Shepard, if you think he has the time to find guys downfield, the offensive line holds up on a couple of these plays, I'd rather just take my odds with Darry Slayton, who he has a better connection with, who's faster, who's younger, who doesn't have hamstring issues right now. So if I don't play Antonio Gibson, I'm going to get the quarterbacks in the captain spot, McLaurin, Shepard, Slayton, some Kenny Galladay, but like 5%, some Diami Brown, but like 4%. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Haven't heard you mention Thomas. He could dominate the receptions, but without Fitz, it's risky. Yeah, without Fitz, it's risky. I have no captain Thomas. I have about 30% utility spot Thomas, which let me see on his ownership. That's probably around the field. I have Thomas projected for 34% ownership, so I'm just basically neutral with the field. No strong stance. He's a good tight end. He's expensive. We don't really know what to expect out of him with the quarterback change, but he's solid. Middle of the field option. Should have a good matchup. Clump, that's called a parlay, somebody said. Yeah. Smart or no? Elliott, Henry, Kupp, Metcalf, Waller, and Waddle, and on Stafford Saints. I don't know if you're asking for the main slate. I don't really have any stances right now. I mean, I have projections out, but I'm not really answering main slate questions. It's a totally different thought process right now. Who are the captain plays on SuperDraft? Well, by far and away, the best captain play on SuperDraft is Diami Brown because he has a 3x multiplier. I have Diami Brown projected for 6 or more points on SuperDraft, but Heineke looks good over there as well. Sorry if I missed it. Could you show your prize picks for tonight? Yeah, I mean, it's the same ones as in the show. Nothing's really changed on prize picks. I've taken props on other sites because prize picks doesn't offer the full props that I want, like total yardage. So this is one of them right here. If you want to tail this again, you can. You can use the code SAL for a free bet up to $100. You might as well use it while they're limited time offering it. So this is a $200 bet with the overs. These are all flex plays, so they're not parlays. That's the nice thing about prize picks. You don't have to get them all right. You can still get some of your money back or even profit without having to get them all right in the flex plays. So this is the one. I like Humphrey over 2 receptions, Brown over 27.5 receiving yards, and Heineke over 16 fantasy points with Shepard over 12.5 fantasy points. Those are my main props tonight on prize picks. I also have Saquon over 40.5. Well, I want to take Saquon over 40.5 rushing yards. It's come up to 41.5. Can't really find anything on prize picks to pair it with. Might take it on another site. I took the over total yards of 98.5 on Antonio Gibson. Late to the stream, but hopefully you profit tonight, Sal, and everybody else. Hey, I appreciate you, John Kennedy. Too kind. Both QBs a must tonight. Not a must, but it looks good. Yo, I'm just curious. Are players more pricey the sooner it gets to the game? The player's price doesn't change. Pricey on prize picks, they'll either go up and down depending on how much the market takes the over or the under. Like and subscribe, everybody. Yeah, for sure. Like and subscribe. Sal, sorry if I missed it already. Thoughts on McLaurin tonight? I like him. Solid. What is his ownership? I have him projected for 50% ownership. Am I around the field? What am I at on McLaurin? I'm kind of around the field, slightly above it. I've got like 60% McLaurin. He's going to be 50% owned, so it looks good. Who do you think is going to win the game tonight? The Washington football team is who I think. Best captain for 150 entries. Yeah, there's not a single best captain. Nobody stands out as the guy. I have the wide receivers and the quarterbacks and the captain. What's up, bro? Any interest in Caden Smith at $200? Yeah, there is. I have 11% Caden Smith right now, which I expect to be about double the field. I have Caden Smith for about 3 fantasy points. So he ran a lot of routes last week. Caden Smith was used pretty nicely last week. Like, let's pull this up. Caden Smith, if I pull up Mr. Caden Smith down here, Caden Smith isn't a player pool. He started and played 29 snaps, so he actually started over Rudolph. Doesn't really matter for the first snap of the game. So he played 46% of the snaps. He ran 18 routes. Now he saw 0 targets, but if you get a guy running 18 routes again, that's going to lead to something for you. You kill the insights. Makes so much sense. I appreciate that. We try and think about it, right? So I mean, here's the difference. I get to do this for a living, thankfully. Thanks to all you beautiful people out there. So I get to think a little bit more on the game theory of it. Obviously get to project out my ownership, all that. So I kind of have a full picture of the slate from what is the field going to do from ownership? What does my projections look like? I have an optimizer. So what is the optimizer spitting out? And now, okay, what is the optimal way to attack this slate? Knowing all that information and obviously getting to break down the routes run and all that. So I just have the time to do it, which is nice. Has the weather in this game been factored in? The weather has not affected the total at all, so I'm not too concerned about it. We can actually pull up if we really want to. Let me see here. We'll pull up the Fantasy Labs Vegas dashboard. So let's pull this up. NFL Fantasy Labs Vegas, and you can actually see if the total has dropped. Let's see if it's dropped since open. So the total has dropped, but I think the activity was not. Yeah, the activity wasn't really that recent. So the total in this one opened at 42.5. The total has dropped 2 points, but not due to weather, based on the fact that the line movement came like right away. As you can see here, the line movement came a couple days ago to 18.5 from the Giants team total. So basically, you're looking at a total of 40.5 right now, which is brutal, which is why quarterbacks in the cap and spot start to actually make a little bit more sense. Because if these mobile quarterbacks pick up 2 to 3 yards on the ground, I mean, if one of these quarterbacks has a rushing touchdown, they're probably the captain, unless this game shoots out and Vegas is completely wrong, which is also possible. I think building shootout lineups makes some sense, and having 2 quarterbacks in sets you up for a low-scoring game, but also a high-scoring game. So that's why I kind of like that tonight. So the total has dropped by 2 points. This is a free tool, by the way, on Fantasy Labs. Not partnered with them or anything. It's just a very helpful tool. It's something definitely to use in the winter when obviously baseball, if you're a baseball player or baseball DFS player, you use this page a lot because it shows you all the differences in the totals and the spreads. But definitely during the winter when there's rain or wind or obviously snow, that can really help you out here. Daniel Jones is undefeated versus Washington. I'm putting my chips in the middle of the table and going with New York today. Yeah, obviously, I think Daniel Jones is going to be maybe not underrated tonight because, I mean, the guy just really, for the most part, he can't hold on to a football. He is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He does not get through his progressions. He does not keep his eye on the pocket. He is not a good quarterback, Daniel Jones, for the NFL. In terms of a top 64 quarterback, he's closer to a backup than a starting quarterback, in my opinion. And I think he's probably going to be that pretty soon, in 2 years. But Daniel Jones is still, for tonight, in this individual matchup, based on what else is on the slate, a solid play. Have you mentioned anything on Kadarius Toney? I have zero interest in Kadarius Toney. Zero. I really don't know why I would have interest in Kadarius Toney. He is the 4th wide receiver on his team. He is the 5th option behind the running backs on his team. He's probably behind Kyle Rudolph as the 6th option on his team. There's really no reason to like Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney played 5 snaps last week. He ran 4 routes. He did catch 2 balls for -2 yards. Him seeing 2 targets on 4 routes, a 50% target rate, is like insane. So basically, when he was in the game, they were saying, yeah, let's throw a bubble screen to this guy for a trick play. There's very little downfield upside. Kadarius Toney, a good game for Kadarius Toney as the number 4 receiver on this team, is getting like 3 receptions for 17 yards, like actually doing something after the catch. Kadarius Toney was by far the worst first-round pick, even worse than Alex Leatherwood from the Las Vegas Raiders, because he was at least a 2nd-round value. Kadarius Toney wasn't even good in college. He had 1 good year, his senior year at Florida State, when there was no one else there. And if you saw how he was basically used on bubble screens where he just broke tackles against worse and less superior competition. Kadarius Toney should have been, in my opinion, probably a 3rd-round pick in the NFL draft. Taken in the 1st round. Crazy. Diami Brown was taken in what? The 2nd, 3rd round? Better player completely than Kadarius Toney. I mean, the Giants just messed that one up. They trade back. Good job. Take the worst player. Just terrible. Sub Salad's cousin Ant. I don't know who cousin Ant is, my man. I don't know Anthony Orlando. Sal, thanks for smacking us with the content. Good luck. Appreciate that. Who to start in Showdown captain tonight? Quarterbacks or wide receivers look good. Is 3K too much to leave on the table? I mean, 3K is a lot to leave on the table, but it depends if you like your lineup. Would you start Shepard tonight or Chenault Sunday? PPR season long. Give me Chenault. Are you fading Barkley? I don't have any captain Barkley. I have 32% Saquon, which is going to be slightly below the field, so I'm not really fading him. Is it dangerous to play Heineke, Gibson, and McLaurin? No. Who are we playing in the captain spot? Quarterbacks and wide receivers. For me personally. Quarterbacks and wide receivers. Here's some of my more interesting plays. Cameron Avery donates $10 to the stream. He says, Sal, fire prize picks on Monday. Let's run it back tonight. Keep up the good content. I appreciate the $10 super chat. You're a great person. Very kind of you. I appreciate the $10 super chat. Yeah, the prize picks on Monday, people were just dominating. Obviously, we had a lovely time with all those prize picks. The Henry Ruggs, the Darren Wallers on the birthday props last second that we got in there. It was a lovely time. Giant stack in the Millionaire Maker contest. I mean, I'm fine to get a Giants and a Redskins stack in the same one. You can build for these massive games. Smash the like button. Subscribe. Get up on TikTok as well. We're about to hit 50,000. So we're going to hit 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe now. If you have a second, I appreciate that. We'll probably get there by the weekend, maybe tomorrow. But we're also about to hit 50,000 on TikTok after 2 months of doing that. So pretty damn cool. How much Washington defense do you have? I'm debating on just fully fading Washington defense. I have 17% in my most recent lineup optimizer run, but I'm debating on fully just fading them. I mean, they're chalky and they're expensive at the defensive position. Yes, there's an obvious reason why they're owned. We all see it. Daniel Jones stinks. This offensive line is not good. It's a great defensive line. It's not a great secondary, by the way. It could be attacked, right? It could be attacked. But I get it. They start with 10 points. There's a really easy chance for them to score 12 to 15 plus points tonight. I get it. Easier than most teams, but they're priced for it and their ownership is there. So I'm debating on just not playing them. Like, give me Darry Slayton over the Washington defense every single time, and the Washington defense compared to Darry Slayton is higher owned right now. I know Slayton's a little bit more expensive, but a massively higher ceiling. Slayton has 2 touchdown upside. Slayton has 20-point upside way more often than Washington gets their defense. J.D. McKissick and Gibson in the same lineup in a large field. I have a rule against it right now. Yo, sup, Sal? Can you scroll down on the chart, please? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sal, how you doing? Thanks for all your help, and you're looking fresh. I appreciate that. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Sal, don't forget about us when you're president, Sal. I don't think I would ever. I mean, I know nothing about politics, but never want to be president. Heineke will look for a check down all night. I got like a sore throat, an achy stomach. I was supposed to watch this game tonight with Ryan Hodge. We're going to try and rain check for Monday or Thursday, but I was concerned that I might have the vid. I don't think I do. I have a sore I woke up with a sore throat and really achy and like tired, but we'll see. We'll see. Heineke or Gibson in the captain spot. I'll go Heineke. We still loving Diami Brown. Yeah, I have a lot of Diami Brown. I don't have 100% Diami Brown because I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I don't think it's a terrible idea if you want to be bold. But I currently have Diami Brown in 48% of my lineups. So Diami Brown's in 48% of my lineups, which will be double the field. So I feel good about that. You could go Diami Brown 100% if you really want to. I don't see the upside there when you have Caden Smith on the slate that I have 10% of. Obviously, kickers and defenses. Like if in a low-scoring game, kickers are definitely in play. A 7 or 8 point game out of the kickers in a low-scoring game is very valuable if it remains low-scoring. So if I took the kickers out manually and the Giants' defense out manually, then yeah, you're going to end against Taylor Heineke. I think the Giants' defense is a fine play. 13% ownership for me right now, and they're cheap. But if I took those guys out of here, then yeah, obviously I would get Diami Brown like 75% of my lineups if I took the kickers and defenses out. I said the same thing. Back pains and bam, I got the vid. Yeah, I got like fully vaxxed like a month ago or 2 months ago now. So I'm not like concerned for my personal well-being, but I didn't want to go out to the bar with Ryan Hodge if there's a chance. So I'm going to get a COVID test tomorrow. Hopefully not the vid. Yeah, I mean, I feel like fine. Like I'm not sick. I feel okay. Obviously that thing can body bag anybody, it seems, but I think my cardiovascular health is in like the top 1% of people. It's like below athletes. I think just below that, just because I run like 30 miles a week. Hey, just wondering, which camera do you use? I make YouTube content too, fantasy related, but your camera looks really, really good. I appreciate that. I use a Sony A7 III. More importantly, you have to worry about the lens. So the camera's like, the camera body is like $2,500. The lens I have is like $2,000. So this camera setup with the tripod that it's on, and some other small things is like a $5,000 setup, maybe like $5,200. I want to upgrade to it. Like I know this looks good, but like if I get closer to the camera, you'll see that basically what it does is blur out the background. So you'll see that it'll blur out the background more. So I like that. The problem is this room isn't big enough. So like literally my setup right now is up against the wall. I have a ring light. I have 2 lights here. I have the camera, but it's up against the wall. So if I can get closer to the camera by moving away from the wall more, the background gets blurred out more. The camera's effects actually look a little bit better. So there's a chance that I might get this different camera that you don't have to be as far from the wall. I think it's a little bit more expensive, but it should be fine. Sims step up over Brown tonight? No, Cam Sims played great when he played with Taylor Heineke. 100-yard game, I think, in the postseason, right? It doesn't matter. Diami Brown wasn't there yet. He wasn't there then. Diami Brown, it's over, right? It's over. Diami Brown was running routes last week. Cam Sims ran 1 route. Somebody says I make adult content. What camera do you use? Chill out. Yeah, you'll be fine even if you get it. Yeah, I agree. 30 miles south, put it in the work. Yeah, 30 might be. 30 is like when I'm towards the end of like a half marathon training. On average, it's like 20. Like I do. Right now, my schedule is a 3-mile run, 5-mile run, rest, like a 10 to 15-mile run, some sort of alternative 60 minutes, so like a biking or Peloton usually, then rest, and then the 3-mile run, the 5-mile run, 3-mile run, another long run depending on how much I want to do that day. Galladay ownership. I have Galladay today projected for 38% ownership. Best value on FanDuel. I have not opened the FanDuel website in probably 4 years, so I have no idea, my man. Heineke under 22.5 rushing yards. I have no stance on that. Is it okay to flex Heineke with Gibson at captain? Yes. Somebody says it looks good. I appreciate that. 4 days rest in a wet field. Saquon may stay in the street clothes. Yeah, don't be shocked if Saquon is a healthy scratch tonight. And, well, that probably would have already been announced, right? The inactives came out. What time is it? It's 6:04. The game starts, well, I guess it's 7:04 if you're on the East Coast. I assume the inactives came out tonight already. But I was going to say, don't be shocked. He's active as of 26 minutes ago. I was going to say, I just pulled up NBC Sports Edge. So he is active tonight, but don't be shocked if he doesn't play a lot. Like, I think he's going to play 50 to 55% of the snaps, but don't be shocked if he plays 0% tonight. And he's just a healthy dress. But the fact that they have him active, you would, if they were going to do that, you think he would be inactive, and they can have another running back active along with Gary Brightwell and Devontae Booker. Lower the f-stop to blur that background. It's as low as it gets, Chris. Yeah, it's as low as it gets. The f-stop is as low as it gets on this camera. It's good. I forget what it is, the aperture, but it is a very good camera for that. If I literally had one more foot in this room, like if I moved 7 inches this way, you can see how much better the crispness looks on me and how much it blurs the background. I kind of like the in-between of being able to see what's actually in the background, though. But obviously, the blur effect is great. But the f-stop is as low as it can get. The camera is good. It's just I don't have as much space in my room. This is as far away from the wall I can get. Who do you like tonight? Captains, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Yeah. Saquon just ruled active. Yep. The new weekly drafts on FanDuel are awesome. What are they trying to compete with Underdog now? Now that they acquired Draft from the makers of Underdog a year ago, and now they're finally trying to use their technology. It's over for FanDuel, man. They just try to buy up the market share, set a 1-year non-compete in place. The second the 1 year is up, Underdog launches and just smacks them out of the fucking ballpark as just a better company already. Sal, you think it's okay to play all Giants wide receivers, Slayton, Shepard, and KG? I'm not going to play all three. Is the lens a zoom? Yeah, the lens is a zoom. So this is all the way zoomed out. Bada bing, bada bang. This is all the way zoomed in. Bada bing, bada bang. This is where I usually keep it. Right around there. To frame the picture. The background's fire. I appreciate that. Top 3 favorite receivers tonight. Well, Diami Brown just for the value. McLaurin and Shepard are like your safe, your bread and butter. But I think Darry Slayton has a lot of upside. He's a boom bust play. Darry Slayton tonight. If you want to play Kenny Galladay, play Darry Slayton instead. He's a cheaper version of Kenny Galladay, right? The most secure receivers tonight, factoring in price and just target share and all that, are McLaurin, Sterling Shepard, and Diami Brown in that order. But if you want upside, Darry Slayton. Sal, looks great. I appreciate that, man. Way better than the green screen. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I noticed where this industry was going. What's a good bet tonight? Yeah, good bet tonight. I would take Diami Brown over 27.5 receiving yards, over Antonio Gibson, total yards, 98.5. The Saquon over 40.5 rushing yards looks fine. I don't have it right now. And then over 2 receptions for Humphrey. But yeah, way better than the green screen. I kind of noticed around 7 months ago when I made the transition that now is the time to upgrade everything. Because like on Sundays, I'm going to start to do this 10-minute fill-in section with a company that's like an up-and-coming media company, the Game Day. But I just go in for 10 minutes and talk about 5 players in fantasy that I like and don't like, 3 and 2 that I like or don't like, right? And for that 10-minute spot, they pay me a very healthy amount of money. Why? Because I have a professional setup, because it sounds good, because it looks good. Like I knew all the information. I sounded fine. Like I knew what I was talking about, but now it actually shows from a professional first impression standpoint. So trying to get as much as I can out of my time these days. Like I'm ready for it. Obviously ownerships will change. Finishing up lineups will change for Sunday slate, but I'm ready for Sunday slate 90% of the way. I have to build some lineups out, right? But everything else information-wise, projections, ownership, matchups, all that stuff is in my brain. Obviously, I'm putting it out on my channel. I'm sharing it with the patrons, but I might as well extend that knowledge elsewhere as much as I can. These 10-minute little bite segments, this studio allows me to do that more. Sal, how many of one team is too many? I'm allowing 5-1 onslaughts to go in tonight. I think it's fine. Booker ownership, should we lean his way? I don't want Booker. I have him projected for 15% ownership. McKissick tonight, I don't expect to get much McKissick. I have 5% McKissick. He's one of my lowest owned plays. Galladay's getting overlooked. I think he has a much better matchup than Slayton. I don't think he has a better matchup than Slayton. I don't think he's getting overlooked. Galladay tonight, he's picking up ownership. He has higher ownership right now than Slayton. I have Galladay projected for 38% ownership, Slayton 37%. So just say that they have the same. Galladay is the most expensive and likely the most owned Giants receiver, and he's probably the worst overall right now on this team for how he sets up. I don't know why the Giants signed this guy. Right? You don't have an offensive line. Right? You don't have an offensive line. You don't have a good quarterback. Why are you signing a jump ball possession receiver that was only good because you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league and Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball, who can like put a ball into a exact window where you need it to go? I don't know why they signed this guy to so much money. If you're going to sign anybody that's on the market, sign Corey Davis, who would have been cheaper for you and who doesn't need to be a jump ball receiver, who actually has speed, who's actually an alpha size at getting separation, who's not banged up all the time like Kenny Galladay. It made no sense. This Giants team is just taking Kadarius Toney, taking obviously Saquon when they took him, signing Galladay. I mean, no offensive line. This Giants team is just terribly run. Terribly. If you're a Giants fan, I feel so bad. I've had nothing but bad experiences with Underdog, glitches while drafting, and no response from customer service. Really? I've personally only had good experiences with them. I've never had issues with glitching while drafting. So, yeah. I would reach out to Nick Rudman on Twitter. He's like customer service. He answers right away when you reach out to him. Sal, can you walk around your room? Joe's Madness. I don't know what the fuck creepy shit you're trying to do, my man. Pervert alert in the chat. Joe's Madness. I don't know what you're doing in there, but no. Cooks or Fuller to fill that last DFS spot. Fuller might not even play. He's not practicing, so Cooks. Better fade tonight, Kenny G or Sal's hair. Ooh, MTV, Jake Paul in the chat. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I'm blushing. Yeah, we're doing the weekly fades now. We were on that bi-weekly college budget fades, but now we're doing the weekly fades, the weekly haircut. Because why feel like shit for half the month because you don't got a nice fade? Why not feel nice all month long? So, yeah. Damn, better fade tonight, Galladay or Sal's hair. Oh, my God. Somebody, my God. Sal, nobody talking about Logan Thomas. Thoughts? I have the same ownership as the field, so I don't really have a stance. He's expensive. I got like 30%. Damn, Sal made me depressed to be a Giants fan. You have literally no hope. Maybe in 2 years you have hope. Probably in 3 to 5. You have a terrible, like one of the worst GMs, right? A terrible GM. You have the worst offensive coordinator maybe in football in Jason Garrett. I don't know what you're doing there. And by Jason Garrett, I mean, I don't know why I said Jason Garrett literally on the Cowboys, but also the worst offensive coordinator in football. You have just Up and down, terrible coaching. Like a special teams coach from the Patriots who loves to run the ball and play hard football in today's NFL. It's over. Like, it was over right there when they hired that dude. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing when you go into the room? Terrible. I was joking, bro, about you walking around. I know. Obviously, I know you were. Otherwise, you are an actual pervert, and then we have to send out the alert. Faded completely, Galladay. Do you recommend any wide receivers tonight because of this weather? Yeah, I think the wide receivers will be okay. What is this weather looking like? Let me see. Let me see what this weather is looking like. The 40.5 total just looks like shit. But let's see. Washington. Like, weather's usually overrated unless it's going to downpour the entire game. Like, most of these teams have draining systems, and if anything, the wet field will help the offense because, like, the wide receiver, when you hike the ball, the wide receiver knows his route. He knows which way he's going, right? So if the wide receiver is running a slant route, if the field is wet, it benefits him to know he's running a slant route because if you're going to fake somebody out, the defender is going to stumble more often because they don't know which way they're going. If the wide receiver always knows he's going right, he doesn't have to push down as hard on his juke to the left, so he gets better footing. Whereas the defender doesn't know that, he's going to slip more. So if anything, I like the wide receivers more. If it's a torrential downpour the whole game, sure, but that is rarely ever the case. Rarely when does it rain for 3 straight hours. It might rain for 20 minutes in the game hard, right? And then sure, the field's a mess. You might not get breakaway speed, but I think it's okay. I think weather is typically overrated unless it's massive wind, and even that is overrated, in my opinion. It's raining really bad here. We got an hour till the game. Is it supposed to rain then? Start Rodgers at captain tonight. Sal Vendors. Yes, do it, please. Sal, what frame rate are you using for the A7? It looks a little choppy on TikTok. The reason it looks a little choppy on TikTok is when I set up the TikTok screen this way to record on, I zoom in a little bit. Like, I can just do this so then it wouldn't look choppy, and maybe I should do that, but I like to keep my background in it a little bit more. So I kind of stretch the resolution on OBS when I do it. But if you've seen, have you seen the TikToks in the past were really bad. I don't know if you've seen my TikToks. If you see my TikToks recently, because they're a little bit more crisp, but they're still not all the way crisp. They are a little choppy. But that would be solid if I just zoomed in, but I don't want it to just be my face. I kind of like some of the background showing. I took the over on rushing yards for Daniel Jones and Heineke tonight. I think it's okay. It's a studio tour. It makes for a cool video. I've kind of done a studio tour from some of my stories on Twitter or Instagram. I think I've done a studio tour maybe on one of my vlogs, but I'm not sure. Glad to see this man Sal in the football mode. The energy level is so much greater at the end of the NBA season. Love to see it. Yeah, the NBA season, fuck the end of the NBA season. Like these for a month long of having one game a day, it's just fucking brutal, man. How much can I talk about for a 7-game series, the same fucking teams? Obviously, matchups and stuff change within that game and the salaries change, but my energy level just drops down completely. I'm this close, maybe a year away once the XFL returns and now 2023 from just being fuck the NBA. I love the NBA, but covering it from a DFS standpoint, it's so exciting up until the end of the year and then into the postseason, it's just straight buns for DFS. That first week of postseason is good, but after that, it's just why am I playing these showdown slates and 2-game slates? Oh, because I have no other fucking options. Sal, good luck, folks. Godspeed. Let's get these dollar rooskies. Let's fucking do it. Love the new room. I appreciate that, Brittany. Any Diami Brown in the captain spot? Yeah, 5%. Wind isn't even supposed to be a big factor. That's what I assumed. Is benching Jones a stupid idea in your season long? Not at all. I have right now Daniel Jones in 63% of my lineups. I'm glad I got Barkley yards this morning. It was at 25 yards. He better hit that shit tonight. It was at 25 yards. Damn, yeah. I think the 40.5 is nice still. If you're getting any help here, my man Sean Preston, the OG, says, help this young man out with a like. Yeah, hit me with the like button. I appreciate that. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but I assume it's a decent amount. 963 people are watching live. Hey, can we get this thing up? Can we get this thing up to 1,000? Captain picks tonight. I like the wide receivers and I like quarterbacks. I think Darry Slayton is the best sleeper captain. Obviously, there's a chance that Slayton scores a 0. If the weather's bad, if Daniel Jones throws for 200 yards in this matchup, there's a real chance Slayton scores a 0 in the captain spot. But I think there's upside there. I think there's upside for a Slayton 5-catch, 80-yard touchdown game, right? Many experts rate Joe Judge better than you are. Yeah, but what experts are you asking? Are you what? Please tell me who these experts are. Is it Mark Schlereth? Are we talking about Mark Schlereth, football guy Mark Schlereth? Show me any person that understands analytics, right? Show me any person that understands analytics and understands roster construction and understands zigging when other people zag in terms of the NFL and the theory of game coaching and game theory in the NFL. Joe Judge, he might be a rah-rah guy, right? Like a Dan Campbell, a rah-rah guy who can get your guy hyped up. He's a coach, a player's coach. But at the end of the day, When he's running the ball, look, he doesn't have the personnel. He doesn't have a quarterback. He doesn't have an offensive line. He doesn't have the most elite defense, although it's not terrible. So you can't blame him too much. But when this guy is talking about in post-game conferences wanting to run the ball a little bit more and really is not using play action and all this, I mean, it's a huge tell. How much Barkley are you playing? I'm below the field. Will Green Bay bounce back this week? I assume so in a major way. People who follow the NFL for a living, says Powens. Yes, please do. Name some of these guys. Name some of these guys that think Joe Judge is a sharp in the NFL. I mean, he could be a player's coach. He's probably a poor man's Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, we're yet to see how good of a coach he is. He's probably a solid coach, definitely on defense. More of a rah-rah player's coach. These guys are going to play for him. Pete Carroll's like the ultimate version of that, right? Like his guys will play for him. But I haven't seen anything in the year and one game that Joe Judge has coached that makes me think that he can do some stuff. Sal, can you go over Prize Picks? Yeah, we went over it a couple times. I'll pull it up in a second. He's a top 20 coach. Somebody says you are drunk about Joe Judge, a top 20 coach. I mean, he might be 20 at highest. Wide receivers and quarterbacks, yes. Dimey Brown is a captain. I have him like 4% captain lineups. Jones with 2 Giants wide receivers. That seems fine. I have Sterling Shepard in the captain spot. I think those dink and dunks are going to pay off tonight. That's fine, yeah. How much Gibson you getting? So I manually took him out of the captain spot, so I'm going to get less now because I just want to try and get different that way. I have 60% Gibson in the flex. What do you think of Shepard at the captain spot? Yeah, he's fine there. I have Shepard in like 15% of my captain lineups, probably around the field, maybe a little bit higher. I got to pick up food at 6:45, so we're going to go till 6:30 here. All you crazy motherfuckers. All you crazy motherfuckers. We're going to go till 6:30 here. Worried about McLaurin tonight? Not really, no. Any Humphreys? Yeah, I have some Humphreys. Adam Humphreys I have in 12% of my lineups. I like his props better. Like to see Humphreys have a big game at that price point, it's tough to see it. He's 4,800. He probably need a touchdown. So I like his props though, over 2 receptions. You don't fix your lineman issues with the NFL draft. That is a lesson one of the oldest teams in football, i.e. the New York Giants, should know by now. Do you agree? You don't fix your lineman issues with the NFL draft? Yes, I think you do. Yes, I think you do. The NFL draft should be to get quarterbacks, to get linemen, and you have to get them at the right spot, right? And that depends on what's available in the pool. But to get quarterbacks, to get linemen, to get the elite receivers, and to get cornerbacks and outside linebackers. That's it. If you're drafting a linebacker high like the Cowboys did this year, bust. I mean, Parsons, if he plays outside linebacker, better, but he's not playing there right now. That's just not good. Like linebackers, I made a tweet today. If Micah Parsons hits for you, you have to pay him a big salary, just like the Colts did with Darius Leonard. You investing a lot of money in your linebacker in today's NFL with 2 high safeties is not going to help you that much. You need to have that money for your quarterback, elite receiver, your cornerbacks, outside linebacker, right? And those types of positions, offensive line, offensive tackle mainly. That's where you need to have that money invested. So now, if Parsons is average to bad, it's a bad pick. If he's great, now it's a bad spot because you're going to pay him the salary, and now you're going to get worse in other spots. All right, Scott. I mean, you're asking the same questions like 30 fucking times. Any word on how much Barkley is playing? No, my guy, just shut the fuck up. You think Logan Thomas does good tonight? I have around the field. I think he'll be okay. Macaruso, McKissick, and Gibson aren't in the same lineup. I think that's fine to do, yeah. I mean, if McKissick goes off, it's because of the receiving game. Obviously, you can just score a bink touchdown, but probably the receiving game, which hurts Gibson upside. No high-risk player in the captain spot for single entry, somebody says. No, I think it's okay. Like Darius Slayton, if you think he's high-risk, I think he's fine in single entry. Scott needs some milk. I'd say elite pass rushing as well in the draft. Yeah, outside linebacker. Like the draft, you want to get 5 guys, depending on where the positions are. And that's what you want to do. And don't mistake that for like the wide receivers I got taken earlier this year. Completely wrong. Jalen Waddle should not go top 10 based on his skill set. Like the elite receivers that I'm talking about are the Amari Coopers, are the Julio Jones. Corey Davis was close, but he went to a small school, so it doesn't profile out that good. Rudolph or Gano? I'll take Rudolph. Thoughts on Booker? I got less than the field, half the field. What's the projection on Brown tonight? My fantasy projection is 9.2 fantasy points. Sal's a riot, somebody says. What's the field projection on Brown? Projected ownership I have for Brown is 28% projected ownership total. Unrelated, but what's your opinion on Jamal Adams? Everyone seems to hate him. I mean, the man wanted to get paid. The man didn't like being in New York. I don't really have much of an opinion. I don't know the guy personally. From his play, from Jamal Adams' play, he's fantastic. He is one of the only guys who's this hybrid elite safety plus like can come down in the box as an elite linebacker, right? So he's fantastic. Jamal Adams is an amazing player. As an individual person, I have no idea who he is, right? So I don't know. Yo, fly ass shirt, my guy. I appreciate that. I'm pretty fly for a white guy. Good shit, Sal. Just smash the like button. Hey, final 10 minutes. Let's get this shit going. Let's get this shit going. Hey, who the fuck's going to win some money tonight? I mean, goddamn. We going to win some money tonight? Why else we here? Late show. Favorite prize picks for tonight? Thanks, man. Yeah, so I'll go over prize picks one last time. If you want a free bet up to $100, you can use the code SAL. It's linked down below. Just go to prizepicks.com, code SAL. Your first free bet will be matched up to $100, or your first bet will be matched up to $100. So if you put $50 on the prop, you'll get a $50 credit up to $100. Use the code SAL. Bang, bang, bang. Heineke over 16 points. My favorite props are right now. So I have Diami Brown over 7.5 points, Sterling Shepard over 12.5 points. These are my three favorite props. Humphrey over 2 receptions, Diami Brown over 27.5 yards, and Shepard over 12.5 fantasy points. Those are flex plays, so they're not parlays. Those are my favorite props. All right. Somebody says you always trash the Giants. Powens, I can tell that you're a Giants fan. I don't give, in my actual life, I don't give a fuck about any single football player or any single team. They don't emotionally affect me, right? If I'm trying to break down a team and an organization, the Giants are currently one of the bottom 5 organizations in the NFL. It probably does not come close from the gap after that, right? Looking at a very, very bad organization. The Houston Texans, right? If the Bears didn't get Justin Fields, the Bears, but even then, I mean, they traded up for the offensive lineman in the second round, which was Tevin Jenkins, which is a terrible trade up for him. I mean, these are some of the worst. The Jaguars are pretty close to being that. Some of the worst this offseason has been better for them the last 2. The Giants are one of the worst in the NFL. Jones, no time. What? I don't know what that means. My man Powens is tilting in the chat as a Giants fan. Look, half my family are Giants fans. I really don't care about specific teams. I can go and say the exact same stuff about the Houston Texans being terrible, right? It's a bad organization. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and they are a terrible organization. I can say that. I can admit that. They are a bad organization. The second Aaron Rodgers leaves, probably next year, that is a bottom 5 team in the NFL. The second that happens. Sal, you are the man, but your descriptions run off screen now. Please fix. I mean, the only way I can fix is this, and you won't be able to read it. I mean, you can get it on Patreon. Like, if you want me to fix it, this is what I got for you. Like, is this helping you? If my descriptions run off screen, I assume this doesn't help you. So this is much more beneficial. But then you can't see who the players are. So I mean, we don't really have an option. Thanks for the stream tip, brother. Screen Verity is awesome to me. Scream Verity. I don't know what the hell that means, man. I think we got some promotion in the chat. I'm going to win some money tonight feeling a jackpot. We'd love to see it. Dallas is a worse run organization than the Giants. I would say the Giants are worse run. But yeah, both are pretty bad. Both are definitely bottom 12 organizations. But I would say at least Dallas got their quarterback. At least Dallas got their offensive line, which is slowly getting older and withering away and retiring and hurt. But yeah, I would say at least they got their quarterback. At least they tried to attack cornerback last year, which might work. We'll see this year in a second-year player now. They got their outside linebacker. I mean, these are like all things the Giants don't have. Stands turn my stomach. We are here for business. I'm a huge Texans, and I can confirm we are the worst run team in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, one man ruined that franchise. You like kickers tonight? Yeah, low-scoring game. I think so. Sal, Packers versus Browns will be my first NFL game. I'm hyped. That sounds like an awesome game. Hopefully it'll be an awesome game. Thursday Night Football. Piss off my other questions here, boys. Heineke plus Logan Thomas or Gibson and McLaurin? Gibson and McLaurin. I'm sorry, join late. Have you talked about your prize picks bets? Yes, I have. If you just scroll back on YouTube, like literally 3 minutes or just highlight, you'll see what this prize picks comes up on this screen. Who do you like in the captain spot? Wide receivers and cornerbacks. Wide receivers and quarterbacks. As a Falcons fan, I can say we are bottom 5 right now. Yeah, the Falcons are pretty... Like, the Falcons not taking a quarterback at 4 overall and taking Kyle Pitts, who's a tight end that they basically use as a wide receiver week 1, is just a bad look. It's just a bad look. Like, it looks even worse when the Falcons did that when they didn't re-sign Julio. I don't think you really should have re-signed Julio, right? You probably should have let him go. But if you're not going to re-sign Julio, you're not in win-now mode with Matt Ryan. So why take a tight end 4th overall? It doesn't make any sense. Does not make any sense. What is your over-under on the Giants win total this year? My friend, put it in writing. I'll say the Giants win 6 games this year. I'll say the Giants win 6. I'll say that they go 6-11 this year. I could see 7-10, but 6-11. It'll really the 7-10 comes into play because of the Fitzpatrick injury, but I'll say 6-10. 6-11. Aaron Rodgers is angry. He thought you cared about him, somebody said. That's funny. Which over? We answer that. Thanks for what you do. Any thoughts on SuperDraft? Yeah, Diami Brown and Taylor Heineke, best captain options there. And just overall plays. Gibson captain spot. Gibson is the best captain option tonight, and I'm playing 0%. How does that make sense, Sal? I'm trying to get different from the field. I'm going to go quarterbacks and wide receivers. Wide receivers have higher ceilings. Quarterbacks are more stable on lower scoring slates. So Gibson has the highest chance at a 2-touchdown game tonight of all positional players, not counting quarterbacks. So, yeah. I'm going all in on Brown. Hopefully you pay off. Yeah, I don't think going all in on Brown's a great idea, but I also don't think it's a terrible idea. It's a $1,400 player. I have 48% Brown right now. Over or under tonight? I don't have a bet on the over-under. Yo, Sal, did you bet the spread in this game at -3 Washington football team? Who would you take? I did not bet the spread. It's way too late to even consider betting a spread because right now the line is as tight as possible. It's like buying a stock at its high point continuously and thinking that you'll profit long term. But if you're just trying to do it for good fun, yeah, Washington football team -3. But I don't have a bet on this game. I have player props in DFS. Dammy Brown, lock of the century, somebody says. Yeah, he's 1,400. He's dirt cheap. He's a great value. He's a great value on the slate tonight. Is he a lock? No, he has a 27.5 receiving yard prop. It's not like this is the wide receiver 1 on his team. He is the 4th option on his team. It goes probably in this game, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, Dammy Brown, right? So the 4th option on a Taylor Heineke-led team is not a 100% lock in my personal lineups. You've been saying for 3 years to be different from the field, and people still ask, I don't get it. It's simple concept. People should have smashed their head on the concrete. I don't know what that means. Leaving 1K a bad idea? No, it's not. I don't think it's a bad idea. I miss when Sal only had like 100 people in the chat, but hey, the man's killing it. I appreciate you. Skins are going to win. Am I screwing myself with 7 captains and a 20 max? Yeah, I think that's way too many. Any defense in the captain spot? Logan Thomas is being slept on here today. Yeah, he's like 40% owned. I think that's fair for the price point. What do we got to do to get 1,000 peeps up in here? We're always somewhere really impressive, but not 1,000. Yeah, there's like 1,400 or 1,450 on the Sunday stream. Yeah, these are just showdown slates. Not as much interest. You got to call your mother, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle. Any Slayton captain? Yes, I like Slayton captain tonight. A good amount. He's going to be very low owned there. I mean, I would not be shocked to see Slayton 4% or less in the captain spot. My barbershop might hit the barbershop before the stream. Might hit the barbershop? Yeah, I went to the barber today. Yeah. What's your thoughts on Barkley tonight? I think he plays 50% of the snaps, but there's a real chance that he plays less. I like the over 40.5 rushing yards. I don't like him that much in DFS. I'm below the field. Fade everybody in this game. This game is the worst. Hey, Cousin Sal, what's your favorite prize picks? Over 27.5 Dammy Brown yards, over 12.5 Sterling Shepard points, over Heineke 16 points, and over 2 receptions for Humphrey. 100% Gibson captain, 100% Dammy Brown. Best of luck, my friend. You ever listen to Harry Mack? I listen to Huey Mack. I don't know who Harry Mack is. Would you play Gibson at 1x on SuperDraft? At 1x on SuperDraft? Yeah, not in the captain spot, though. Dammy Brown is going to pay off. Skins get the running game going, and we'll see some play action shots down the field. Yeah, I think Dammy Brown is great. I'll call Hodge and get you over the 1K top. Sounds good. Alrighty, gang, I'm going to bounce. Sal, you are my father. This man Keith is coming in yet another year that I'm his dad. What state do you live in to be able to use DraftKings? I live in Texas. I can't use DraftKings here, but I can use every single sports book because I have connections in cities that do have legal sports betting, and they just place my bets for me. You watch Barkley in college a lot, I would assume. Does he seem as athletic after the injury? Barkley was fantastic in college. Does he seem as athletic after the injury? I did not watch a single snap of Saquon Barkley last week, so I have no idea. That game was not anything I wanted to watch, so I have no idea. I did not watch a single snap, but he was limited, so my guess is that Saquon Barkley, senior year of college, compared to now, was definitely a more athletic player because you're coming off of 2 years of injuries, including the worst knee injury you can possibly have, tearing 3 different things in your fucking knee. So my guess would be 2 years ago he was way more athletic. Alrighty, gang. I'm out of here. It's 6:30. I got to get my fucking food. What's the food tonight, brother? The food tonight is going to be kava. I need to get some kava. I got it ordered. I'm ready to go get that shit. Alrighty, peace out, gang. We out of here. Best of luck tonight. I got about 500 in play in player props. Nothing bet on the spread or total of the game. And right now I've got about 400 in play on DraftKings, seeing if I want to add any final, like what's left. The luxury box is still not filled. There's 5 spots left. Do I enter this $2,100 luxury box? Seems like a bad idea. Seems like I should just save my money for the Sunday slate. So I think I'm going to do that. Alrighty, gang. Peace out. Before you go, if you want to hit the like and the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate that. And all of you, final thoughts tomorrow morning. That one, dude, Saturday. Sunday, Patreon-only podcast. And Sunday afternoon, the final live stream. My throat is fucking killing me. It's on fire. I need a cough drop. Best of luck tonight. You all rock. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, gang. If you win tonight and your significant other comes up to you and says, hey, why are you so happy? And you're like, hey, because I just won $1,700 on DraftKings. And they're like, holy shit, how'd you do that? Then you say, hey, because I know football and football knows me. Have a great night. Man, this Sal guy, shit. He might have COVID right now. And he just yelling and shit. Goddamn. I mean, just rest. Put your head to sleep. Crazy motherfucker.